All right. So we are currently dealing with layoffs, and more layoffs. They are coming at us fast and furious here. And, you know, hiring hasn't slowed, though. And that's one of the things that's really got me and the rest of the folks that I work with kind of confused here. And during a conversation that I had, saying over the last week with a couple other business coaches like myself, we kind of came to the conclusion that we might be dealing through something similar to what we went through, the Great Resignation, right? We all been through there, but now we're moving into something called the Great Rotation. Again, we're working on the name, but I think that might be it. With all of these layoffs happening across the public and private sector, which we're going to get into, we're going to cover a bunch here in some articles today, and hiring still happening, we're in the middle of a great reset. And I think, we cover that a lot as far as making sure that employers and employees are prepared for what's coming. But this is going to be a seismic shift. It seems that way. Seems like we are getting ready to have something significant happen in the labor market as well as the business cycle here. So, again, for those that know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach that works out of West Michigan and around the country, and I hope to earn your subscription today. I come live pretty consistently here on again on YouTube to talk about things business, be it in the employers and the employees. And as always, links are going to be in the description here, so be sure to check this out. All right. So this is from Forbes, where we're starting with here. Nearly 100 companies announced layoffs in March, according to reports. It's March 4th. March 4th right now, and we've already had 100 companies announce layoffs in March. That is on top of what we've been dealing with in obviously in February, and then in January. Right off the bat in January, we were having layoffs. Whatever level of either excitement or build up to the Trump presidency, regardless of your politics on there, that was what we thought was going to be there, it hasn't necessarily showed up in the market yet, in varying degrees. And again, all this talk with tariffs that's going on is just really scaring large number of folks, and it's concerning. So, and you can see this right now, businesses, they're not sure what to do. What they just have from the Atlanta Fed, that the Q1 GDP looks like it's going to be near negative 3%. Like that is not a healthy economy that we're going through right now. And it's showing up in the layoffs. It's showing up in what businesses are buying, but businesses are also hiring too, and that's the unique thing that's going on. So let's take a look here. Again, this is from Chris Westphal. Again, this is from Forbes. Just one of the articles we're going to look at today. Retailers like Jo-Ann Fabrics and Walgreens are among nearly 100 companies planning layoffs in March, according to the U.S. government reports. These jobs disclosed through WARN notices required under the Worker Adjustment and Training Notification Act range from as few as 10 employees to as many as 500. Yeah, we're also in a minute, we're going to take a look at the federal layoffs and the basically folks that are being offered early retirement, all the different things that are happening at the federal level. And then we're going to get into what the jobs report is and what that's going to look like for the overall job market as a whole. As I mentioned, hiring's still happening at a pace, at an okay pace. So again, there's a lot going on here, folks, that we're really working on trying to figure out, and with my clients, how to position ourselves in a way that we're going to be able to take advantage of this. Okay, reporting thresholds vary by state, but warrantracker.com, an independent data site, provides a national dashboard of job reductions. So companies large and small, as we mentioned here, announced layoffs. So here's some of the companies. The list, again, including but not limited to Intel, Federal Express, FedEx, Neiman Marcus, and John Deere. Macy's, which recently announced the closings of 66 stores as a part of a 3-year goal to close 150 retail locations, will be laying off hundreds of employees. Similarly, retail drug store Walgreens will be parting ways with employees in California and other states. Rising interest rates, which increase the cost of capital, are blamed by some experts. The ever-present drive towards profitability and shareholder value is leading even highly profitable companies like London-based BP to announce layoffs. So again, you're going to have that piece here where you're going to have that requirement for, shareholder value. These are things here. But ultimately, there's something going on, and it's been going on for the last 6 months, I want to say, where margins have been shrinking. Yeah, we all know it as on the consumer side. everything's costing more. But on the business side, things are absolutely going up as well too in costs. They are increasing, and that's shrinking margins. And now with look at tariffs that are possibly putting in, margins are going to shrink even more. And yes, yes, they are going to pass those costs on to the consumers. We all know that. However, until they have to be able to afford to get the materials. So there's this back and forth going on. And like I said, we're in the middle of some significant shocks to the overall business cycle right now that we just got to make sure that we are keeping an eye on. All right. So again, we're not going to worry about that. So Michael Ryan, a financial advisor, says that AI is a big driver in the announcements. Again, that's a bit of a cop-out for me, as we talked in yesterday's video. If you want to go check that out, AI is something that many businesses still aren't adopting. They don't know how to use it properly. And those businesses that are, they are finding ways to not necessarily get rid of their folks. And, obviously some jobs are going to go away anytime you have this type of shift. But what we're finding is that the businesses are using AI in order to make their folks more productive. They're finding ways to include that. Now, corporate profits are still pretty healthy, exclamation mark, he tells Newsweek. It's not like these companies are struggling to stay afloat. They're making these cuts while their bottom lines look good. Their bottom lines look okay, but they're getting worse. I would caution anyone to take a look at, the earnings that were reported over the last quarter coming out of the stock market as one look, but also January, again, my area and also around the country were absolutely brutal for retail sales. Everyone's down January into February. March, we'll see what happens. Everyone's down. It has been a very challenging January and February out there in the business world. So while, yes, there may be some companies, their profits are looking good and okay, Main Street's not. They're struggling in many different ways, and Main Street hires an awful lot of folks. Now, I think continuing here, Michael Ryan said, I think what we're seeing isn't just a normal economic hiccup. It feels more like companies are using this moment to fundamentally reshape how they operate. They're thinking, well, if we can replace these positions with automation, why wouldn't we? And for many of them, it's like, why shouldn't we? Like, that's the other part of that. Again, we're dealing with all of that. And those are questions that, we'll come back to the article here in a second. Those are questions that my clients and I, that we are absolutely discussing from time to time is, okay, what can we remove from our staff, throughout the different companies to help them then focus on the profit, on the things that help them make more profit. Again, better use of the human capital than updating a spreadsheet, right? Those are the things that we're looking at and trying to find ways to manage that. We're not talking about laying people off. We're finding ways to get them working on things that are, again, humans are just better at. That's what we want them working on. All right, back to this here. Now, looking to the future as layoffs loom large, experts are predicting weaker employment reports in light of these announcements. Ongoing shifts in the technology sector, plus the shrinkage around white-collar jobs, point to restructuring in the U.S. economy. And this is what we're saying. It's the great rotation. I don't know if that's going to stick or not, but that's kind of what we're going with, where we are rotating staff, rotating employees, rotating companies as a whole, what they're doing and how they're operating within the new economy here. Now, with major potential for impact to workers across multiple sectors of the economy. As the Trump administration moves forward with reductions in federal workforce, we're going to look at an article of that in a second. The number of Americans on the unemployment line is going to increase 100%. They are out there and it is increasing. Again, we're going to look at, and this is the piece. This is where companies are now, they're saying, well, if there's A, will lead to B, to C and D, and all of a sudden we're like, oh crap, we're going to start seeing problems in our business. Do we want to get out in front of this? And this is one of the concerns that I always talk about with my clients, specifically with recessions. And again, I'm throwing the R word out there, folks, that they tend to be self-fulfilling prophecies. No business wants to be the last one holding the bag, which would be extra labor when all of a sudden it dries up. What are we going to do? Those are the ones that go out of business and are chasing. So people tend to go in front of that, which gets people unemployed, which now they're spending less money, which then is going to lead to more layoffs. And it's this awful cycle. We get in the doom loop that happens. All right. So and they have some advice here, which I just want to, which I think everyone knows here. If you or someone is part of restructuring, layoff, or reduction in force, this is some ideas they throw into consider. This should just be standard practice for everyone. Relationships over resumes. The vast majority of hires in the white collar world are, hey, yeah, you're talking with someone and like, yeah, I'm looking to hire someone here. It's like, hey, I know a guy or a gal. Hey, let me introduce you. It happens a lot. So the more that you can get into those relationships, the better chance you are going to have as far as your resume. Why? I did a video on this. You can go check it out. Again, hopefully earn your subscription here, but you can go check out where the problem is when it comes to those resumes, you got to get through AI. And what is AI designed to do? They're looking for certifications and buzzwords, not you, not Bill, not Sally, not Steve. They want to look at a set of, this criteria instead of use the person and what you can deliver. Right? We don't want that. We don't want that at all. Don't go it alone. Yeah. I mean, this is something when I came out of the military, I retired after 20 years a few years ago, and there was a couple of us. We were working together about helping each other out. There's a lot of us, we through the Veterans Administration, we got help with our coaching on how to get hired, how to work with our resume, introductions. When I got into where I ended up in Portland, Maine, I'm in Michigan now, but when I landed in Portland, went around and found people in the community that were willing to help me with as far as introductions, help me with my interviewing skills. So there's things you can do. Don't have to do this on your own. All right, last one here is embracing change. 100% on change is going to be something you need to be open to. Okay, folks, it's going to happen. All right, so didn't mean to. So I'm sorry. Hold on. Trigger warning with Elon. I know it triggers a lot of folks here. All right, how letting go. This is from Forbes. Our next one that we got here is going to be how letting go of federal government workers will impact the job market. Okay, I wanted to start with the title because what I want to talk about here first is from Yahoo Finance, and this is Bloomberg. U.S. jobs report to offer clues on hiring momentum, and this is from Sunday, March 2nd, so a couple days ago. U.S. employers probably added jobs at a moderate pace in February at a time of federal government layoffs and consumer spending slowdown. Payrolls increased by 160,000 in February, a slight improvement from the 143,000 increase a month earlier, yet softer than the final months of 2024. Right, so we're in this, this time where people are hiring, but maybe not at the same clip because they're not sure, and our unemployment rate's hanging out at 4%. All right, I want to be able to put that out here just to show that hiring is still happening before we get into this. And this is why we're saying we're looking at a great rotation, not necessarily the doom and gloom that we see, because their jobs are out there. But that being said, there's people who are going a year or longer without getting hired. All right, so letting go, again, we're going to look at how letting go of the federal government workers will impact the job market by Jack Kelly. This guy, okay, so they include one with Elon's kid picking his nose and then Trump here. I mean, just, here you go. This is what we got right now, folks. Now, President Trump's administration has set its sight on shrinking the federal government workforce. It currently stands at approximately 2.3 million civilian employees. On February 26th, Trump signed an executive order for DOGE, right, the Department of Government Efficiency initiative to, again, fraud, waste, and they're going to be, again, letting folks go. Agencies were told to centralize technological system, track payments, et cetera, with plans for workforce reductions due by March 13th. So the service, again, as far as the secretaries for all of the different agencies, next week, what is that, the 13th? Next week, Thursday, they have to have basically up to the president. They need to have their plans to reduce the federal workforce. One striking measure includes a 4-to-1 replacement ratio, replacing every 4 terminated employees with just one. Again, we also got the deferred resignation that's going on. 75,000 workers have accepted that. Additionally, the administration has targeted nearly all of the 220,000 probationary employees. That's about 9% of the workforce. So as we're looking at math here, right off the bat, we're at 300,000 that they're looking at. Right? And then this could potentially be one of the largest job cuts in recent history. And this isn't something that is unheard of in government. I think President Clinton had the last major cull back in the late 90s, early 2000s, if I remember. It was late 90s or midnight, whenever. At some point, I know he cut a bunch of folks out of there. I was still in high school, so I don't remember that too well. Now, navigating a tougher job market. This is the piece here. For affected federal workers, reentering the job market could be challenging. It will be challenging. I can tell you that as someone who's been in government and then made their way back out from public to private sector. Completely different world out here. Many scientists, administrators, accountants, look at all these folks, finance, compliance, legal, and again, and then they throw in park rangers. It's a job, right? Park rangers are highly educated and specialized. Unfortunately, they're entering a white collar hiring slowdown. Tech, finance, and consulting have seen significant declines opening, 100%. So this is what they're getting into. You have folks that are in a, who have specialized training in government are now going to have to come out to the public, to the private sector. It is trying to mesh that up is a challenge, and it's something they're going to be working on. Now, it's taking much longer to find a new job, as I talked about in a previous video. The market is highly competitive. It's extremely competitive. That's why we talked about before some of the things. You don't want to be going this alone. You want to get a coach. You want to get out there and meet people. Do everything you can. Don't just send your resumes out into the void and expect a computer to pick you out of the stack. You do have to do, again, some legwork and some conversations. The other piece, there are more applicants than job openings. What I would like to say on that, and that is the understatement of the day. There are many multiples times of applicants than job openings right now. It is everyone, and the reason for that, so we're going to go back to this in a second. The reason that there are so many applicants for every single job opening that currently exists is simple. You have to, as an applicant, you have to apply to every single job that is out there that you might possibly sort of kind of be qualified for, in the hopes that you are going to make it through the filter of these applicant tracking systems so that you maybe possibly could one day talk to an actual human being. And then you can start your actual job hiring process. That's the issue right now. That's what we're up against, folks. It is extremely challenging, and so yeah, it's not just that it's difficult and it's competitive. You got to get through the filter to get there. Okay, so let's get back to this last bit here. Now, unemployment benefits don't generally cover what you used to earn. They don't cover anywhere near what you used to earn. And again, federal roles, we talk in niche skills that may not easily translate to private sector. Older workers, another struggle you have. Again, when I came out, I was in my late 30s, not older per se, but the amount of information that we had to learn in order to be proficient in the private sector it was a heavy lift. Stuff I had to take time on there. Other concerns I have is the ageism, et cetera. Now, the rate for workers earning over $96,000 is at its lowest since 2014. Job security is another concern. Quit rates have been dropping, right? So the rate had been dropping. Workers are now less likely to leave their current positions due to scarcity of new opportunities. That's what I was talking about, where the great resignation is pretty much over. It is I got a job, I'm holding on for dear life at this point because layoffs are happening and folks are dropping like flies. So people are not going anywhere. They're staying because the chances of them landing something for the average worker is it's pretty low. It's pretty low. High skilled folks are always going to be mobile. They're always going to have opportunities. But for the average worker, there's no more job hopping that's going to happen here. All right, the impact of AI and automation is seen as contributing to the white collar recession. Man, we're really trying here, folks. That's a lot. Specific sectors like tech, again, definitely have a lot of layoffs. And then for the displaced worker, the timing couldn't be worse. They're jumping into a white collar job market that's already skittish, and companies are hoarding cash and leaning harder on automation. Here's the fallout. Local economies. This is what we're going to talk about. What's happening right now, folks, is 100% dependent on where you live. The jobs are there in many locations. In other locations, again, we're talking about Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland, where it's a lot of federal jobs, a ton of them. It's the jobless rate in D.C. is getting ready to go through the roof. In the Washington area, it's getting ready to go through the roof. In areas where they have a high federal presence, you're going to see the the unemployment rate go up. In areas where there isn't a lot of federal, you are going to see some jobs lost because there are feeder businesses that fed into some of these that helped within the government. But what we're going to end up seeing here, and this is the part where I'm talking about this great rotation is going to happen. Federal workers are going to have to make a decision here whether or not they want to stay in they're in DC and try to get into another federal job, or they're going to have to migrate. That's one of the things they're going to see, and they are going to go to the places where the job markets are hot, and there's lots of opportunity. So we're going to see another movement of people coming out of Washington. I would estimate that we're going to have somewhere of the, let's just throw a number out there. Say 200,000 jobs are lost to the federal government in DC. I would expect upwards of 80,000 to 100,000. So half of them to end up leaving the DC area and moving, either, again, north, south, or west to where other job opportunities are. Again, this is what the issue is going to be going on here as well. So, and then they've got critiques of DOGE, which, again, you can watch a million videos on that. Frankly, they're cutting with an axe in different ways. That is definitely an issue. And they're just going slashing and burning is one of the things that people say on there. Whether or not, again, I'm not here to say whether to agree or disagree. I have my own critiques on the way that they're putting a lot of the stuff out there. Not a big fan. But it's all leading to the point where we are now at an environment where we are going to have a ton of people who were in the federal workforce who are now going to be coming into a job market that are also going to be meeting up with a ton of people who are being laid off from the private sector. What that means is that there's going to be much more competition for the jobs that are out there. And the comment that we're having with folks here is like, okay, how can we as employers, and this is where the employer piece is coming in, how can we write our job descriptions and our job ads in a way that is going to highlight to the right people to say, hey, this job's for you, but then also dissuade individuals who are going to be the wrong fit? Because this is that balance that I have, right? I'm a business coach and I work with businesses in order to hire. I also help some employees who are trying to navigate their way through, again, the business world. I have a couple folks that I mentor. But this part here is not going to be on the business side. We have to have a way to keep the wrong people from, again, the wrong fit from applying, so that we don't lose, again, you're applying for the job. You're the perfect employee for this job right now. We are working on writing our job ads in a way and structuring them in a way that's going to help filter people out, so they are not getting in the way of you and maybe possibly hiding you from us, so we can't reach out and hire you. Right? That's what we're trying to work through right now, and there aren't any good answers to it. There just aren't. They're not out there, but it's a trial and error is really where we're at. So what's this mean for everyone? On the employee side, you need to be open. And you need to be open as a job seeker right now. If you've been laid off, you're in the government, and you're just out there in general, you need to be open for looking at those jobs that you are qualified for that you may not necessarily have thought is something you'd want to do. You need to be open to those things and be willing to go check those out, because the jobs that are open are the jobs that they need filled now. There is no guarantee that the jobs that people are currently hiring are going to make the rotation. In these times of drastic change like this, nobody knows what this is going to end up looking like in the economy, what the mix of jobs are going to be. We are still figuring out how to use AI. If you think about the internet, when it first started, it took over 10 years to figure out how to use it in a way that was going to be, not one, to generate jobs, but also rotate people into those jobs and train them. We're a couple of years into this AI revolution since ChatGPT. I think was it 2019 when it came out? So we are, we're 5 years in. This is the part where things really start getting squirrely, right? And you need to be willing to make adjustments to that. And that's where you're at. On the business side, ladies and gentlemen, again, what I'm coaching my clients is we do not want to fire anybody if we can help it. Do not want to lay people off if we can help it. You have quality people that are working for you. We need to find ways to use AI and automation to free them from the mundane tasks, and then use them to generate more capital for us. That's what we really want to do. That's what we're shooting for with my businesses. So if you're a business owner who is listening right now and you got to this point, you're not sure how to do that, feel free to reach out, summitbusinessguys.com. I can help you how to grow your company, how to manage through these things. It's what I do. So with that, again, thank you everybody who hung out this long. I appreciate everyone. Hopefully I earned your subscription today. Keep your heads up, folks. Keep your head on a swivel. And again, like with every transition, we'll get through it. There's the job you had may not be the job the career you end up with. So you need to make sure you're open to that. I'm living proof of that. After the military, I'm on basically I finally landed in my profession after 3 tries where I landed. It took me that long. Okay, just something to keep in mind. So with that, take care, everybody, and I will see you.